If you're a fan of Dragon's Lair or Space Ace or any of the other interactive-based movie games that came along in the 80s and 90s, and if you also just so happen to be a fan of Japanese-style fantasy animation, this game was made just for you. Strahl was originally released under the title Triad Stone in 1994 for the Pioneer Laseractive, and then was later ported to the 3DO in Japan in 1994, and then also to the US in 1995. It would also later be ported only in Japan on the Sega Saturn, though if you have the choice, go with the 3DO version as it has better video quality than the Sega Saturn version. So first of all, for those of you that are unfamiliar with interactive movie games, all it basically comes down to is you watch a video on screen and you press button sequences as prompted. So when an arrow pops up on screen that points left, right, up, and down, you hit that button on your controller in time and the movie will continue. If you just so happen to mistime your button press, well, then you get a death animation and you must start all over again. Strahl can be considered very easy when compared to similar games in this genre, because it lays out on screen when you should be pressing the prompts and exactly which direction you should be doing them in, whereas other games require a lot of trial and error, especially on your first couple of times through, because you're trying to figure out when you should be pressing the button and whatnot. But as in Strahl, you always know the game is telling you when you should be pressing these buttons, and this is good and bad. It's good because it allows you to sit back and enjoy the game without having to retry levels over and over, but it's also bad because it really discourages replayability, even though Strahl touts that it has 45 different endings, which are for the most part simply a static screen at the end of the game. But in terms of its gameplay, it's really easy. You're not going to play it over and over again for the challenge, but instead you're going to play it once in a while for the animation, which I have to say is superb. This is by far my favorite interactive movie game that I've played, especially because I am a big fan of Japanese animation. Every level is action-packed, there's constantly stuff going on, each one is usually a big epic battle between some giant monster or something, and it's really like, I think of Strahl more as, buying a movie, because you can beat this game in anywhere between, I'd say, 20 minutes to 45 minutes, depending upon how many times you might die. But I really like to look at it as if I'm watching an anime film, and I have a little bit of influence upon what happens to the character. It's really like watching a movie, but having that little bit of interactivity that really keeps you glued to the TV. Alright, so when it comes to the actual gameplay of Strahl, it's broken up into 7 different levels. They can take anywhere between as short as a minute to upwards of 5 minutes to complete. If you mess up on any of the button inputs during any of the levels, which will either be a direction on the D-pad as indicated by an arrow, or by mashing on the C button when a meter pops up with a globe at the end and little dots before it, you have to keep on mashing on it until you get to the end of the globe, or when crossed swords appear, which simply just means to press the A button. If you mess up on any of these, you will be sent back to the beginning of the level and have to do it all over again. You have 9 lives to complete the game, as you have 2 chances to continue, with 3 lives each, including your first initial 3 lives, so if you do die 9 times, you do have to restart the game all over again. Despite that, however, the game is very easy. There's only a couple of button pressing sequences in the game where they tend to go by faster than normal, so you might have to restart a couple of times, but once you get the memorization down on when these button presses are coming up, you shouldn't have a problem. Also, you can simply mash on different directions without any penalty, so you can press the wrong direction at first and then correct yourself and press the right one. But really, if you played in this style, you'd only be cheating yourself out of the fun that Strahl is trying to present by having you press the button sequences at the right time. There are 7 different levels in the game, and at the start of the game you're presented with 3 different ones depending upon which one you choose, and your performance throughout the game is going to determine which of the 45 different endings you get. Once you pick the initial level, you're presented with 6 more that you can advance through in any order. There's just one last thing that I have to mention about Strahl, and that is the music in this game. It is awesome. It sounds like the kind of music that you'd find in an RPG game of the most epic proportions in terms of battle music. Really, each stage has music that really accompanies it well depending upon what's going on screen, and it's just really awesome to listen to and a treat to the ears. So anyway guys, Strahl gets my highest recommendation for fans of Dragon's Lair style games or fans of Japanese animation in general. The easiest version to get a hold of would probably be for the 3DO, but if you so happen to have a Laser Active or Sega Saturn, those are options as well. But the best version to go with is the 3DO version. So anyway guys, thanks for watching.